My God, this is not a joke. I am not fabricating. LeBron James, ladies and gentlemen, is a Philadelphia 76er. Look, I didn't expect this. No one really expected this when they threw Philadelphia's name into the mix as a possible destination for LeBron to go to. I didn't think that this would be possible. But it's official. LeBron James is headed to Philly. And look, as I have said in my previous videos, I am not a fan of ring chasers. And let's call a spade a spade. What LeBron James is doing is ring chasing. And I'm not throwing shots at LeBron, like, because he's not the only one that is doing this. This is just a sign of the times. However, as a Sixers fan, as a Philadelphian who was born and raised, who loves my team, I'm like Bill Simmons. I'm not going to deny being a Sixers fan. I'm going to be positive and assume that, LeBron's interests, for his personal interests, he wants to win a championship. You know, it benefits us all. If he is serious about the city of Philadelphia and bringing us a championship, I'm happy. So that's where we stand right now. That's where I stand. And there's no doubt about it that this shakes up the NBA. I don't think anyone was expecting this. Maybe even LeBron James's own family wasn't expecting this. Right after the Jaylen Brown trade, and before we even had time to process walking down Broad Street and even think about the potential of Jaylen Brown mixing with all the others, and that we have Jaylen Brown, who's traditionally destroyed the Sixers. This has now happened. Now, this doesn't come without some problems and headaches, especially for Nick Nurse, because as I see it, there is a chemistry problem. And for those of you who have followed the Sixers closely, you know that the Sixers have not exactly had a solid chemistry for the last 10 years. It's been a problem in Philly for a while, and it hasn't seemed to. It got a little bit better last year, actually, and I think that was because Joel Embiid kind of had to stop sulking, and he had to hand over the keys to Maxey. Now, from what everyone says, LeBron is fantastic in the locker room, and his leadership hopefully can fix some of this up. But there are several issues. The biggest one, mixing LeBron with Embiid and Jaylen Brown. Those three in particular. Because especially when you consider the style of all of the starters, they are all ball dominant. Even VJ Edgecombe, he kind of his game, he needs the ball to make things happen. Tyrese Maxey, he's not an alpha kind of player, but the way he plays stylistically, he needs the ball in his hands. So let's be real. It became obvious to everyone that, including Joel, that this is Tyrese Maxey's team. The Sixers organization, you know, Joel has too many health issues. He's not dependable. This is now Tyrese Maxey's team. He's the best player on the team, and I believe he's still the best player on the team. Joel Embiid, he can barely play anymore, and we can't rely on his health. So that's it. And on top of that, Joel Embiid has a massive personality. He's chilled out over the years since he's had his kid, but he's the kind of guy, like, he wants to be number one. He needs attention. Then you have Edgecombe. Edgecombe is more similar to Maxey in that he seems like he's easy to play with and he's willing to do whatever it takes to win. He's also young. Add Jaylen Brown to the mix, and it becomes clear that, okay, Edgecombe gets bumped down. Jaylen Brown is either the number one or number two option, Maxey or Brown. And I actually think that Brown and Maxey would work really well together because Maxey has the kind of game where you can kind of just you can run an ISO and then feed him the ball and then he can run. So you can just play fast paced and run. So between Jaylen Brown and Maxey, and imagine Maxey running down the floor and Jaylen Brown running with him, and then he throws a lob pass for a slam dunk. It can work really well. However, you just added LeBron James. Some would argue that LeBron he's already transitioned into being a role player in Los Angeles. He's never been the type of player that needs to score. That kind of differentiates him from Michael Jordan and the other, like Kobe and Michael. They needed to score. LeBron is different. He's a pass first kind of player. He's like an IQ type player. He's unselfish. But for all of this to work in Philadelphia, there must be clear lines. People need to know their roles, how to fit within their role, and it needs to be talked through. And they need to figure this out kind of fast. So this means Nick Nurse's job is very important. And LeBron is going to need to be kind of a half coach, half role player kind of thing. And he's rolling into a dynamic that I think may kind of surprise him. And of course, LeBron comes with a lot of fame and attention, and he's like a whole brand himself. He's a business. So this kind of star power can really shake things up. And keep in mind that on Los Angeles, you have like Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves, way more passive personalities. So they're the kind of players I think as long as they can score and they're getting their shots, there's not an issue. So even though LeBron is deferring to them maybe offensively, he's still the man in Los Angeles. But in Philly, Jaylen Brown and Embiid have huge personalities. Both of them take to social media. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this all unfolds. And I'm going to give all of them the benefit of the doubt. They can make it work. They are adults. They're intelligent. I can see it working really well and LeBron helping to make those lines clear, or I can see it unraveling really badly and them having to either trade Jaylen Brown or just drop Joel Embiid. And here's the important thing that is different from other organizations. Keep in mind that Philadelphia is a basketball city. The casual Philly fan, basketball, baseball, football, is highly aware of these dynamics in the locker room and also basketball, the game itself. Philly fans, we have a reputation for being harsh and reactive and brutal, but the fans in Philly know what they're talking about. They know the game. They're not just emotional and irrational for no reason. Now, getting back to Joel Embiid, personally, I think LeBron will be fine. He's a class act. This isn't his first rodeo. He's went into different organizations, and I think he's more than willing to act as a primary coach more than anything because his main goal is to win a championship. That couldn't be more obvious. Joel Embiid, at this point in his career, is he has to do whatever it takes to win because he just can't be the number one player anymore. He can't we can't depend on him to even play. But I honestly think that including Joel or relying on him is a serious mistake. He shouldn't even be a consideration for any lineup because you never know if he's going to play. We should assume he's going to be out, and in fact, even adding him to this mix is strange. It messes with the flow of the offense because the way they're going to play without him is very different than they're going to have to play with him. And I can easily see this team playing without him and running this fast-paced offense with wing-oriented basketball, bringing in Phylon, who's a quick jerky player, and it's just this is a team that should run and play fast and shoot threes. Joel slows the game down. He plays ISO basketball, and imagine Joel Embiid, you know, shooting a mid-range jump shot, doing his slow isolation basketball, and you have Jaylen Brown, Tyrese Maxey, LeBron James waiting around for him to shoot a mid-range shot. Ultimately, I think Joel Embiid will be proven to be the weakest link and even almost a nuisance in this system. And with LeBron coming in, being a more like a real leader, the Sixers have not had a real leader in a long time. Joel Embiid is a chemistry killer, I'm telling you, and he's been the man in Philadelphia, and he hasn't been able to, create a good atmosphere for the team. There were even reports where Tyrese Maxey and him bumped heads just about his professionalism and showing up on time. The team might have to decide to move on. Personally, as a Sixers fan, see you, Joel. I've just he's whatever he offers is just never proved turned into winning, and I think this would have to be something that is like for chemistry purposes, just like the league had to let go of Chris Paul because it's like he's on the Clippers, sure, he's not the number one option, but he's probably just a disaster to have in practices because it's just like who is this guy just at the end of his career he can barely play and he's just screaming at everyone and thinks he's the alpha. It's like it's just better without that. So I want to know what you guys think. Will LeBron be the ultimate glue and guy for Maxey and Brown and Edgecombe, or will the Abib situation drag this team down? Will it mess with the flow? Let me know about your thoughts or hit me up on, email me and make sure to subscribe for more update on the NBA. I want to know your opinion. I know there's some Sixers fans who are head over heels, happy about the situation. I will say it's again about the ESPN thing. They hate the Sixers. Brian Windhurst was in the worst mood when he found out that the Sixers got LeBron James. And there's some of these guys, they clearly have a dislike for the Sixers and Philly, and see you in the playoffs. I don't know what else to say, but the Sixers, in my mind, despite all the chemistry problems, this is the most dangerous team in basketball. And this is the beginning of a new era because the LeBron things is temporary. Joel is temporary. He's gonna go soon. But now you have Jaylen Brown, Edgecombe, and Maxey, and Phylon, and you have a really exciting team for the next 5 to 10 years. So it's a new era in Philly. I'm excited, and thank you all for listening. See you in the next episode.